Hey guys, welcome back to Cultivation with Christy. I'm Christy. We're back in the kitchen. Today we are going to make some tomato sauce. I came into all these tomatoes from someone from work. I did not grow them. So we're going to practice kind of getting the recipe down for when and if I have enough tomatoes to do this. I'm using the recipe out of this book. It's kind of the canning standard because I'm going to preserve this. So we're going to use this Basil-Garlic Tomato Sauce recipe. I'm just going to use onion powder. I don't want to waste my homegrown onions on a test. So what we're going to do is first start out coring. So you can take a knife and cut out the core where the stem comes out of the tomato, or you can get one of these fancy dancy strawberry tomato cores and just core it out of there. And then you'll quarter them or cut them up in, pieces, sixes, whatever. And you'll take kind of the seeds out because you want the meaty part. If you leave the seeds and juices in there, then your sauce is going to be a little bit more runny and it'll take a while to cook down. Ask me how I know. And then you're also going to make sure you cut out any imperfections from the tomato, where they're homegrown. Caterpillars, things have gotten in there and it's not still in there. If you cut it open, you'll know. But just the imperfections, the ugliest. You also do not, I saved these as an example. You don't want to use any moldy, past ripe tomatoes, any with icky spots on them that are starting to go bad. For canning, you definitely want to use fresh produce, as fresh off the vine as you can get it. These were in a box. They haven't even started getting fruit flies and the stuff you would normally get with produce that have set a day or two. And again, that's normal. So I'm gonna cut all these up. I'm gonna get them in a big saucepan. I'm gonna put all of the seeds and cores in this container to take out to the compost. And when I get ready to cook my garlic and onion powder, I'll come back and get you guys. Okay guys, I've got my tomatoes quartered, all of them quartered. I've removed the seeds. Look at all the juice. If we wouldn't have done that, we would have had to wait forever for it to reduce down and get all that liquid out. So I've got my garlic browning in here. If you were adding onion, you would go ahead and add it. It's a lot of garlic because I got a lot of tomatoes. So now we're gonna add in the tomatoes and simmer 20 minutes. Something to note here, I left on the skin. I don't plan to use a food mill to get that out later. I'm just gonna grind it up. If you don't like the skins in it, you can score them and put them in boiling water for a couple of seconds and then immediately remove them and put them in an ice bath, and then you can easily peel off the skins and then go ahead and cut and quarter and remove the seeds that way. I'm going to try it this way to see if my taste buds even care that the skins are in there. Should have got a bigger pot. Hang on, I'll show you. The recipe calls for 40 pounds of Roma tomatoes. Again, I don't know what kind these are. They weren't super juicy. They had quite a bit of meat on them. But you want a more meaty sauce tomato. I feel like this is going to be a bad idea. It's very full, and I have some left over here. Anyway, I'm going to get them all in the pot. They're going to cook 20 minutes, and we'll be back. Okay, we're back. My timer is about to go off. This has simmered, boiled, whatever, for 20 minutes. Now, like I said, I don't have a food processor, so I'm going to ladle this into my blender and then put it in a holding pot and then transfer it back into my stock pot here. I've cut up some basil, a little bit of an oregano. So when you're using a blender instead of a food processor, you got to be careful, because when it's hot and you put it in the food processor, it's going to explode. So make sure you don't put your lid on tight and you give it some air to breathe, and be very careful when you're blending it. Anyway, I'm going to blend it up, get it back in this pot. As you can see, we're pretty chunky still, but it's all cooked down. There's a lot of water content in here. Depending on how soupy it is, as I get it blended up, I may discard some of that liquid, but I'll let you know what I do, and we'll be back. Okay, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, blending this up. So I get the tomato chunks here, put them into my blender, and there's enough juice in the bottom of this. I think it'll be okay. Sometimes I'll add a little bit if I don't think it's going to blend up well. And that's about all I'm putting in there. Remember, it's hot, so I vent the lid just a little bit, and then I put a paper towel over the top of it just in case, and then I just pulse it. See how it's kind of, I mean, that'll do it with anything, but you really want to be careful when it's hot, because you don't want that to come splattering up in your face. And you can leave this as chunky or as mixed up as you want. My husband doesn't like tomatoes, so I'm going to blend it up pretty well. And then I'll just put it over here. And that's it. I'm going to continue to do that, and I'll be back. Okay, we got it all pureed up. Some of it's pretty thick. See, with the leaving the skins in, you're going to get these little rolled up bits. So if you don't want that, feel free to remove them early on. So now we're going to add in my basil. Remember, this is a big recipe, so you'll want to season pretty heavily. And I didn't do my onion. I'm going to add in my onion powder. even though I added a little bit of fresh oregano, I'm going to add some more dried. And I think that'll be it for right now, and then we'll see how that does. And then, according to the recipe, oh, it's time to cook, so, or process. So I'm gonna let this sit here. I've had my jars in the dishwasher over here. Oh, they're done. Perfect. So they're good and hot. I had them on the sanitize rinse. If you're doing hot things into your water bath, you want your cans to be hot like your sauce. So you don't want them to cool down before you get processed. So I'm going to get this off the stove because I have a glass top and I don't want too heavy things on the glass top. So I'm going to get this set to the side. It'll stay hot for a good while. Then I'm going to get my water pot. I'm going to water can these. And then we'll be back when we're ready to roll with that. Okay, we're back. I've got my lids are sanitizing. My water is coming up to a boil. I'm gonna grab my jars. Oops. And they're still warm. And I'm gonna keep them warm. So what we're gonna add to each jar is 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And that's just to keep it acidic enough for water bath canning. And then, according to the directions, so you could use citric acid or lemon juice. Lemon juice is just what I have on hand, and we're going to use the quart jar, so we're going to do 2 tablespoons. And then we're going to ladle it in, leaving a 1/2 inch head space. And now a 1/2 inch is usually at this ring right here, an inch is usually at the neck, and 1/4 is up here. But if you want to be real precise, you get this fancy little tool, and right here where it says 1/2 inch, well, so you'll put it at the 1/2 inch and the liquid will hit the bottom of this little tool. Alright, so I'm going to get them all loaded up. I'll show you how to do the last one, and then I'm going to get them in my stock pot. We'll be back. All my sauce is in my jar. I've got one of these in the bottom of my jar, or my canning container. It's standing up right now, but we'll lay it down. Okay, I have my freshly squeezed, well, not freshly squeezed, you could use freshly squeezed. And I'm just going to add one to this one, because I'm going to use it first. I've already added one to that one. So here's 1, 2, 1, 2, and it'll mix all in when it's in there cooking. So there's that. Now, if you made a mess, or even if you didn't, like me, you're going to use some vinegar, white vinegar, and you're going to wipe your lids down. You want the lids, the ring area, and the top of the lid. Okay. Now you're going to get this handy dandy magnet thing. You can get them in these canning sets. It comes with the magnet, little tongs, jar opener, the little headspace gauge, a nice funnel, and a jar to lift them out of the canner. So you're going to take the magnet. See how easy that is? Pop on your lid. Tight. And this is more of a recipe than an introduction to canning, but if anybody's interested in an actual canning tutorial, let me know and we can definitely do that. Alright. Off the heat. Now we're going to take a little jar lifter and we're going to set each one of these down. Well, my little thing has moved. I'm going to get that. I'll be right back. Okay. Now we're loading the jars in. And you want the water level to be 1 inch above the jar. So, got them in here. I use my handy dandy little thing to measure. See, it's right there at 1 inch above. So we'll wait for them to come up to a boil and then we'll set the timer for 40 minutes and we'll be back. Okay. So we have processed the jars for 40 minutes. I have turned off the heat, uncovered it, and let it sit for another 5 minutes. And then after that, I have an area over here. It's just a towel that I have set up kind of out of the way so the jars, when they come out of the water, can sit for at least 12 hours undisturbed. And then after 12 hours we can come back and check the seals, make sure everything's sealed properly and everything looks good. And then if it didn't seal, we just eat it right away. Like stick it in the fridge and then eat it the next time you can. So there's my timer. Sorry, you can't really see that over there. This is the one that wasn't quite full. All right, so there they are. Beautiful fresh basil, fresh tomato, spaghetti, pizza, whatever kind of sauce, marinara, dip, all homemade, canned, and preserved. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.